Brendan Schaub sued for fraud in million-dollar lawsuit. There's a video by Podcast Cringe.
So walk me through this idea again.
Oh, dude, you're gonna love this. So you know how the CBD industry is like the Wild West. You never know what you're gonna get.
Right.
I represent Pure Spectrum. You know exactly what you're gonna get. So I ride into this lawless, like old country town, right? I'm representing Pure Spectrum.
CBD is so pandemic coded. I remember the grip this shit had on soy society for a couple years. Hey man, it's just like weed but without the high, man. It makes you relax. It enhances recovery.
I'm the sheriff. I'm on one of them big burly horses, right, like a brown horse, and and then all the townsmen, they circle around me.
I'd like to do an IQ test of the people who watch The Fighter and the Kid. I swear to God, these are bot farms juicing engagement. I've never met an individual in my entire life who unironically listens to this podcast.
They just all gather
Why
around
do they
me.
circle around?
Because they represent the other CBD oil company. They don't want me in there.
Okay, they're
There's
back.
gotta be some elaborate money laundering scheme.
I'm real. They're bad guys. I'm good guy.
And they have guns?
I'm good guy. They have guns. And they take them out. And I hear one go, "Hey, sick cowboy, we don't want your kind around here." And I say, "Is that a matter of fact now?" And he goes, "Get on out of here."
Yo, this is hilarious.
And I go,
Because they don't want Pure Spectrum in the market.
"Why would they? Why would they?"
All right, guys, before we get into today's serving of lawsuit lasagna, I've got to remind you, everything I'm about to talk about comes directly from the plaintiff's legal filings in this civil case.
Everyone is just horny to sue these days, huh? Utilizing lawfare. Maybe Brian Johnson, aka Liver King, was onto something with old school man-to-man, dual flag, fight to the death.
These are just allegations. None of this has been tested or proven in court yet, and Brendan Schaub is still fully entitled to...
Bro, sounds like his sinuses are packed with Chick-fil-A sauce. I wish. When you're in the slop trenches for so long, you run the risk of getting infected with the soy.
defend himself. In fact, according to the latest court...
Wait, Liver King's name is also Brian Johnson? That's right. But the other Brian Johnson has a Y in his name.
Records, Brendan hasn't even been officially served with the lawsuit. So technically speaking, he hasn't had his chance to respond, deny the claims, or put forward his side of the story. There's a very real possibility.
Remember when they accused Bobby Lee facilitating the hate on their Reddit? I'm familiar with that snark situation, but only from a distance, right? So I got my soy blockers on. I have to look at things through the lens of binoculars. I don't want to contract radiation poisoning from the soy. But yeah, Joe Rogan orbiters are beefing perpetually.
Brendan's sitting in his storage unit studio right now, watching this video, finding out about these allegations for the very first time. So, let's be crystal clear. As of today, these are just claims made by the plaintiff. They still need to be tested in court, and Brendan Schaub has not been charged with any crimes in relation to this civil complaint. This is a civil business dispute, not a criminal prosecution.
I turned 30 today, man. Been watching you for about 6 years. I'm officially UNC status. Welcome to the club.
Unpacking what's in the public court documents, the legal system.
Bobby Lee is way too soy for me to find him funny. I'm probably driving some people crazy with the amount of spacebar slams I'm dropping right now. But it's important because this is fair use, baby. This is the Third Eye Global insight. Bobby Lee is a voluntary cuckold, from what I understand. Kalila, was that his girlfriend, wife? I don't know. The only thing I know about that podcast group, that troop, was that they had an open relationship, which is no relationship at all if you're not tradcath monogamy maxing. You're gonna let another man deliver back shots and you consent to that? Yo, it's so over for you. In fact, it never even began for you.
System will handle the rest. Also, I will alternate between the words lawsuit and lawsuit, Texas and Texas throughout.
And a lot of people say Bobby Lee's funny. I mean, it's a very boogers and farts type of humor. I don't even know if that's a term, but now it is. It's a Philion term. I'm coining it. Where he just whips his dick out and like that's supposed to be funny. It's like one of his main bits. Look at my penis. As a true jester, I don't think that's funny. How old is he? This is gonna piss me off. He's 53 years old. Dude.
This video. No, it's not intentional. It's just the price you pay for watching hours and hours of Brendan Schaub content.
And then they're all around me, and they're like, make your move, boy. And then I see one girl come out of the bar. She's like, don't hurt him. And she runs, don't hurt him. And I'm like, thanks, sweetie, but I'll take it from here. And they draw their guns. And I'm like, oh, we doing this? Not up in here, y'all. And then
Yo, if you hear me breathe like Tony Soprano, I just gotta get the soy out.
And then they're just all laid out. And then they're like, dang, that was sick, man.
All right, guys, buckle in because what I'm about to tell you is so peak Brendan Schaub, so classically bupper that...
Now, Brendan Schaub is a heavyweight UFC fighter, and he's very talented in that regard. He's not one of the best, but he has an impressive career. He beat some of the greats, from what I understand. And, like, that should be enough, right? But no. You have to pivot into comedy. And when there's a lack of fire and flames via the Dunning-Kruger path, you stick out. What do I mean by that? I'll show you. Brendan Schaub is probably somewhere about here in terms of comedic genius, right? In fact, I don't even know if he's plottable on this graph. But this valley of despair is thousands of hours. This is the skill gap, and it's required to be actually great at something. And a lot of master comics or comedians, whatever you want to call them, know that comedy is cooked in the first place. So the midwit bell curve would look like Just Be Funny, Netflix special in the middle, and then Just Be Funny all the way on the right as well.
That even Gringo Puppy is looking like the least embarrassing thing he's ever done. See, while most comedians move to Austin to chase stage time, network within Rogan's inner circle, or just sit in traffic near a Buc-ee's for 6 hours, your boy Brendan's been busy racking up lawsuits like he racks up missed punchlines. And this latest one isn't about the so-called Reddit trolls, it's not about podcast bots, it's not even about his failing podcasting empire. This time, Brendan Schaub is knee-deep in a civil lawsuit out of Palm Beach County, Florida, with allegations so ridiculous, so on brand, that even the Fighter and the Kid subreddit couldn't have dreamed this one up. We're talking tax fraud, wire...
Went from literal assassin to comedy assassin. Many such cases.
Fraud, civil theft, conspiracy, and brace yourself, you guys are gonna fucking love this one. Allegedly using a CBD company's private customer database to spam strangers with promos for his failing comedy special at the time.
That can't be true.
That's right, you buy CBD oil to help your anxiety, and next thing you know, Brendan Schaub's in your inbox begging you to watch Gringo Puppy. That's not just poor marketing, that's psychological warfare.
CTE and comedy don't mix well together? What do you mean? It's a great combo.
But let me back it up for those of you new to this bupper saga, because to really appreciate how epically Brendan fumbled...
Why is stand-up comedy being washed by podcasters? Always has been. It's because it's not a very glorious life, and this can be extended to many different mediums or careers, right? Actual stand-up comedians have this sacred ritual of just bombing and sucking on stage for years, living in and out of trailers, one-bedroom apartments, sharing the rent with cockroaches. It's a very destitute path, and podcasting completely skips over that. Now, I've had a podcast, and I could say this. At the top level, it's probably the easiest job in terms of content production. You just have to yap, and you get sponsorships, you get watch time, you get AdSense, you get supporters. And that's not me throwing any shade or even glazing it. It's just a fact. You see Joe Rogan getting $100 million deals. Alex Cooper, Call Her Daddy, richest female influencer. Something about the medium itself of it being podcasting is very lucrative. It probably goes, in terms of modern content creation, right? Podcasting makes the most money, then streaming, then everything else.
This one, we got to start from the beginning, before the lawsuits, before the storage unit studio, and before the Botox.
Yeah, you give all your jokes to the podcast. You can test material. You could gauge different audiences. You could build up a cult following, right? Because if you have an audience that finds you funny, you only have to make them laugh. And then you could start selling out shows. Back in the day, I feel like you'd walk into a comedy club and you just discover new comedians.
The chain smells like Brendan. Smell it.
Yeah.
It smells like your cologne, dude.
Yeah, I wear that every day, and I go to bed in that.
How
You
does
do?
gold hold
Yeah, I got
smells?
that for that thing's kind of a good luck charm.
What
When my
the
son
fuck
had
is
his
this?
seizures, I got that like the day when we figured out CBD oil gets rid of them, so I haven't
He has
taken it off since.
seizures?
He was, not anymore, thanks to CBD oil.
What's
Really?
wrong? What was wrong with
Real
him?
story.
What was causing it?
They don't know. It's epileptic seizures, but benign though. And then there's like all like doctors like, oh, let's put him on this medication. Let's do this. Let's do this. And
The
then
Comedian Cool Kids Club elitists.
I went to these forums, and the mom's like, do not give him medication.
Authors used to spam trashy novels to fame. Now these people spam podcasts. It's the same strat. That's an interesting point, and it's also very true. I mean, you even still see it. Everyone has a fucking book now. You know the fall off is real when I start just making books. As if I have enough profound wisdom to impart into a tome, an esoteric scroll on papyrus.
Medication, everything you're doing. Try CBD oil. And I have some friends who know some people in CBD oil business. So I'm like, I'm going to try that before I try anything else. Tried it. Hasn't had one since.
Great.
Dude.
And I got that chain when we figured out that the CBD oil fixed it. So
This
He's got a CBD chain, huh?
story starts with Brendan's newfound love of CBD oil around 6 years ago. He starts asking around, and eventually Pure Spectrum CBD, a company founded by a guy named Brady Bell, enters the picture. Brady's your typical entrepreneur trying to build a legit CBD brand. He's making moves, sponsoring athletes, trying
You guys would buy my slot Bible, right? Hundo P.
to get into the wellness space, and for some reason, someone possibly under the influence of one too many on-it supplements suggests Brendan Schaub as a brand ambassador. Now, most rational people would look at Bupper's track record: fumbled an MMA career, fumbled stand-up comedy, fumbled podcast after
But somehow still became a millionaire off of all of these efforts.
podcast, fumbled basic
It's never been easier, chat. What's your excuse?
geography by moving his business to a storage unit in Texas,
I'm gonna start selling soy blockers. That's a great idea.
and think maybe he's not the ideal choice. But they roll the dice anyway, and in late 2018, Brady Bell brings Brendan Schaub into Pure Spectrum as a partner, giving him 10% ownership of the company straight out of his own personal stake. All Bubba has to do is promote the brand, make a few social media posts, show up to an event or
Heads up, we've detected video on your stream belonging to someone else. Your stream may be temporarily blocked. You see, this is why we operate as a content hydra: YouTube, Twitch, and Kick. YouTube's got that inbuilt DMCA. Takedown, Kick, and Twitch, no shot. But we should be in the clear now. Kick.com/Philion, Twitch.tv/Philion TV.
to mention it on his podcasts. You know, the bare minimum for someone constantly bragging about being a business shark. But Brendan didn't just fumble the bag, he lit it on fire, shoved it in a Texas storage locker, and called it content.
I have some stuff going on. I have some joint issues and some other stuff. and
CBD will help with that.
She told me. She told.
Every time I react to a podcast, I have people in the comments tell me, no, that guy's actually funny, dude. No, he's not. None of these people are funny.
You brought it, Charlotte's Web.
It's Pure Spectrum. It's the best CBD on the planet.
Is
I got you.
that what's the brand?
Pure
Spectrum is the name of the
CBD.
brand?
Yeah.
And she told me to ask you for that.
Yeah. Let me talk to one of the owners.
Did
Yep.
you just talk to them?
I'm one of the owners.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, you started your own brand. Did you buy into it, or did you form this company with them?
They formed it, and then I came in as a fourth partner.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
So you brought it?
Huh?
You brought it, and I'm going to try it out?
I'm going to bring it. I forgot it. But I got the best for you. I got the best for you.
Okay.
Everyone's fucking stupid but me. Look at all these slugs. I see what's going on.
We don't live far from each other. I can go get it and come back.
Okay. Thanks, dude.
Yeah, no problem, man. It's the least I can do.
So
Oh, there's something so smug about these fucking podcast maxers, bro. Ah, you gotta get me off the internet. Especially when I'm sick, I'm gonna start saying slurs.
here's where it all starts to unravel, and honestly, it wouldn't be a true Brendan Schaub story without some world-class self-sabotage. After getting his 10% stake in Pure Spectrum, Brendan allegedly does what Brendan does best. Absolutely fuck all. The lawsuit spells it out clear as day. Brendan missed every single required social media post. For those keeping score at home, that's 88 out of 88 missed posts. He skipped promotional events. He failed to honor his contractual obligations. Meanwhile, get this, he
Oh my god. Earning over 370K as an affiliate.
still managed to collect over 370 grand in commissions from Pure Spectrum.
Holy buckets. Marin with the gifted sub over on Kick. Huge! Thank you, bro. Our CFO, Chief Financial Officer, Marin Real One. Absolute legend, GOAT. Shit's not even possible without him.
That's right, Brendan allegedly pocketed hundreds of thousands of dollars while doing less promo than Chin does research for The Fighter and the Kid. And honestly, that's impressive in its own way. But like every good bupper scandal, things get dumber. Because as Gringo Puppy started tanking harder than his Spotify download numbers, Brendan allegedly decided to get creative. And by creative, I mean desperate. This lawsuit contains possibly the funniest sentence I've ever read in a legal filing. On multiple occasions in 2019 and 2020, Mr. Schaub solicited plaintiff to send mass emails using Pure Spectrum's customer database to promote defendants' unrelated comedy specials to help boost poor ratings on Showtime and IMDb. Let that sink in for a second. People are signing up to Pure Spectrum's mailing list because they want
That's really annoying. Just using the mailing list to promote your own Netflix special? Is that based?
CBD products. They're dealing with anxiety, pain, sleeplessness, and Brendan allegedly tries to hijack the database to spam them with ads for Gringo Puppy. Imagine buying CBD to help your anxiety, and next thing you know, Brendan's in your inbox saying, "What else you got, Chin?" while begging you to rate his comedy special higher than a Rotten Tomatoes disaster movie. But wait, it gets so much better, because apparently even Showtime and IMDb were so pissed off by Bupper's guerrilla marketing tactics that they allegedly threatened legal action. This is directly from the lawsuit. Defendants' misuse of company assets for personal gain
Holy buckets, the bunker buster bombs are being dropped again. Marin with the gifted over on Kick.
in negative consequences, including threats from Showtime and IMDb for improper promotional
Yeah, it goes so far into cringe it becomes based.
activities. After receiving threats from Showtime, Mr. Schaub acted like he didn't know about the promotional campaign, leaving plaintiff with Brendan's dirt on his hands. That is peak Brendan Schaub. Initiate the scam, fumble the execution, blame everyone else, retreat to Joe Rogan's bunker. Honestly, imagine being so bad at comedy that even your own promo strategy backfires.
Chat, I know some of you watched this special. Don't lie to me.
And the platforms you're desperately trying to impress threaten legal action just to get you to stop. It's almost poetic if
Sorry for the bombs, but had to be done. Psh. Never apologize, always double down.
poetry had CTE and a Thick Boy logo slapped on it. But we're just getting started. This was only the beginning of Brendan's downfall with Pure Spectrum. The next chapter, the non-compete violation, the $100,000 payoff, and what might be the sloppiest business move since he tried to trademark
Sounds like he just fumbled this really hard.
Tiger Thick Whiskey.
With my CBD company, they were doing this marketing. I said, hey, my friends are the funniest comedians in the world. Give me whatever
You're
marketing.
getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to peddle CBD. It can't be any fucking easier, dude. Holy buckets.
budget you have for the next whatever 2 months. Let me do my thing with my guys. They go, okay. So I hired Chris D'Elia, Santino,
Absolute
Andrew Santino,
assassins.
Fahim, Derek Poston.
I love Derek.
Yep, Asana Ahmad and
Today.
Brian Callen.
Great.
And I had them come in. I gave them an outline. Oh, and Michael Rappaport. And I gave them an outline of what I wanted to do and go, we're just gonna freestyle this. You can get paid, and we're just going to do this. We did 3 commercials.
So after Brendan's failed attempts to boost his comedy career by misusing a CBD company's customer list like his own personal email chain, things finally came to a head. By late 2020, even Brendan, the undisputed king of denial, couldn't ignore the writing on the wall. The lawsuit claims that after months of skipped promos, failed appearances, and illegal marketing tactics, Brendan finally agrees to part ways with Pure Spectrum. But not before...
Why does Kick's sub update so slow? Maybe because you're dropping so many bombs. It probably has something to do with the API. I'm gonna have to talk to IT on the back end, see what's going on there.
Allegedly pocketing nearly $400,000 for doing, quite literally, less than nothing. The terms of the deal were pretty straightforward.
This is just, it's hard for me to feel bad. This is a skill issue.
Brandon signs a dissolution agreement giving up his entire 10% stake in Pure Spectrum. He agrees to a 12-month non-compete, meaning he can't promote or partner with any rival CBD company during that time. Everyone walks away with less brain cells than when they started. Simple, right? But this is Bupper we're talking about. If there's one thing Brendan loves more than abusing PEDs, it's violating contracts he never fully understood in the first place. Because not even 2 months after signing the non-compete, Brendan allegedly turns around and starts publicly promoting Direct Hemp, a competitor of Pure Spectrum, founded by co-defendant Daniel Herder, one of the masterminds behind what allegedly happens next. Brady Bell, the founder who originally brought Brendan into Pure Spectrum, wasn't having it. He sent cease and desist letters, or as Brendan calls them, cease and desist letters, reminding Brendan of the non-compete he literally just signed, and he probably even tried to speak slowly so Brendan could keep up, you know. But
Is this going to cost him millions of dollars? This would be the stupidest way to lose money.
true to form, Bupper allegedly ignores everything, keeps promoting Direct Hemp, and focuses on the only thing he's consistent with, doubling down on the dumbest possible move. It doesn't stop there though, because behind the scenes, things are about to get a lot darker.
And then I get on my horse. And I'm thinking slow motion. As I'm on the horse, right? Like I'm going, and there's like smoke, and the town's blowing up behind me like this. And then my horse
is the town blowing up though? Aren't
Why is Brian Callen famous? Any ideas?
the innocent people there?
No, they ran during the shootout. Because I heard one girl in the saloon go, "Oh, that's a thick-ass cowboy." And I'm like, "You right, sweetie."
I know, but the town's...
What movies was Brian Callen in?
The town, and then in slow motion, it's like, and then... And I'm looking like super smoky. And then even my horse in slow motion.
Why is anyone famous? Because people are slugs. So true. Look at all these fucking slugs. Addicted to shit I wouldn't even touch.
August 2021. According to the lawsuit, Pure Spectrum insiders and investors are plotting a hostile takeover of the company. The plan? Push Brady Bell out of his business, take control, and in classic podcast industry fashion, glaze over the details later. But they have one problem. They need Brendan's help to pull it off. Even though
I'm dying laughing to this. It's so funny. I'm in pain. Please send help.
he signed away his ownership, they allegedly approach Bupper with a deal. Hey Brendan, we know you technically gave up your stake, but how about you lie on some documents, pretend you still own 9.3% of Pure Spectrum, and help us vote Brady out? We'll throw in $100,000 for your trouble.
This is some Succession type shit.
Now, if there's one thing Brendan loves more than scorpion milk, it's easy money with zero accountability. The lawsuit claims he took the deal faster than Theo Von distanced himself from The Fighter and the Kid, signed the false declaration, claimed he still owned part of the company, and helped oust Brady Bell from Pure Spectrum entirely, all for a cool $100K, which in Brandon's world would cover Chin's salary for the next 4 years. But don't worry, the stupidity doesn't end there. You'd think after pocketing a questionable $100,000 for allegedly faking
All right, so far he's up $470,000 for zero work.
ownership documents, Brendan Schaub would ride off into the sunset, maybe retreat to another failing YouTube channel, or finally invest in a real studio that doesn't double up as a car park. But no, when Bupper fumbles, he fumbles hard. The lawsuit claims that
Maybe I just need to start asking for millions of dollars. Maybe that's the skill issue here. What's my rate? $80,000 per minute.
After helping boot Brady Bell from his own company, Brandon kept the scam going with some classic paper trail manipulation. We're talking allegedly filing false tax returns, using a fraudulent Schedule K1 form to pretend he still had partnership income from Pure Spectrum, and participating in what the lawsuit calls a
Yikes. Forging documents? Falsifying records? Uh-oh.
civil conspiracy designed to defraud the IRS and Brady Bell simultaneously. I mean, the man's so addicted to fake numbers, he allegedly tried to bot his own tax filings. And look, this isn't just, oops, I forgot to declare a podcast ad. We're talking potential felony level allegations. Wire fraud, tax fraud, civil theft.
What's the tech here? Just countersue? Be like, nah, I didn't do any of that shit. Just go band for band with them in the court of law?
Fraudulent misrepresentation, conspiracy to commit tax-related crimes. The lawsuit doesn't pull punches. It paints Brandon as a textbook scammer, hiding behind his MMA background, influencer persona, and ever so fragile ego to cover up for his incompetence. The plaintiff's legal team even calls out Brendan's pattern of behavior. Defendant has consistently leveraged his perceived public persona as a former
Deny everything is always the strat. So true.
athlete and comedian to mislead business partners, evade contractual obligations, and engage in fraudulent conduct for personal gain. Translation: the thick boy business model isn't built on hard work. It's built on smoke, mirrors, storage units, and allegedly illegal shortcuts. But to truly understand how we got here, let's zoom out for a second.
You know, I'm in the business of likability. So when I go on the road, I think too, for younger comics or people getting into this, you think that the internet, through all the comments or whatever it is real. It's not real, man. I make a business off likability. I don't know, 10 endorsement deals. That's how I pay my bills. I have 10 endorsement deals. And this isn't a flex. It's just showing you that,
Right.
you know, I'm more loved than I am liked. You know, I go to a coffee shop. I was just with my brother. I can't go anywhere without meeting nice people, man. You know, who love what I do. And then also, I sell tickets on the road. That's how else I pay my mortgage. You know, so that stuff is real. That's attainable. I see and meet those people. So I think that's what helps me navigate through all the darkness. You know, I'm a shark when it comes to business. They underpaid my man.
It's got to be a weird life. Being at the top level in some regards, in terms of comedy touring, podcast revenue, while simultaneously not being liked at all. Now, obviously, he has his own audience, but maybe that's our future, chat. Just kidding. Third Eye Global. We'll be on top real soon. This is an emotional hedge fund, okay? A lot of you are late. Doesn't matter. You're still early to the movement.
This lawsuit isn't happening in a vacuum. It's part of a long, slow-motion train wreck we've all been watching for years.
Yeah, he just said, all that hate, all those people, not real.
MMA career, blamed it on concussions. Failed comedy career, blamed it on being too big, strong, and good-looking. Botched podcasts, blame it on Brian Callen, chin, and production staff. Banned from Rogan's Mothership,
That's right. It's never your fault. He's banned from Mothership.
blamed it on protecting comedians from his fists. Now allegedly scamming CBD customers, falsifying tax documents, and panicking when the feds get involved. This lawsuit basically takes all the worst parts of Brendan's public persona, the fragile ego, the self-sabotage, the desperate clinging to relevance, and shows that allegedly it wasn't just
I don't know if I'm going to make it. The soy might get the best of me, dude.
happening on YouTube. It was happening in boardrooms, tax filings, and corporate documents. And to no one's surprise, it all circles back to that same trademarked Bappa energy. Deny, deflect,
I still don't know why we refer to him as Bappa.
distract, and somehow still fumble the bag. But if you thought this was just a civil court drama, think again, because the fallout from this lawsuit could make Gringo Papi look like a career highlight. Brendan Schaub, former UFC heavyweight, failed stand-up comedian, storage unit landlord, podcast bot enthusiast, now facing the most on-brand legal melt.
It literally might just be a nickname. The trolls, the fans, eventually just took a life of its own. Bappa? Comes from a Reddit post.
Down of his career. If even half of these allegations are proven true, we're not just looking at some slap on the wrist
That's right. I'm going to lock in and rise like a phoenix from the soy.
YouTube drama. We're talking massive
I am going to make it.
financial penalties,
I'm gonna pull through.
triple
I'm gonna be better than fucking ever.
damages under Florida's civil theft laws, IRS investigations for filing false tax returns, potential criminal referrals to the Department of Justice, and worst of all, more storage unit podcast episodes while he scrambles to salvage the empire. But let's be honest, we all know how this plays out. Brendan's going to hit the fighter and the kids set next week, acting like nothing's happened. He'll glaze Rogan harder than ever, even though Rogan hasn't acknowledged his existence since the move to Austin. He'll blame the haters, aka anyone who's been reading the court filings and knows how to pronounce the word conspiracy. And in true Bappa fashion, he'll probably fuck up the legal defense worse than he fucked up his copyright lawsuit. You know, the one he thought was a defamation lawsuit.
Did he lose that lawsuit as well? God. I swear, once you're like 38 plus, since you have a taste of big boy money, you just start suing people.
For 2 years until I called him out on this channel and his lawyers had to scramble to convince the court that he was lying on the podcast to save the case, which he still lost. But let me stop for a second, because even with everything we've seen from Brendan over the years, there's one particular part of this lawsuit that feels almost too dumb to be real. According to the filings, Brendan allegedly sold a 9.3% ownership stake in Pure Spectrum CBD,
How much could that be worth?
pocketing $100,000 for it, despite the fact that, and I can't stress this enough, he didn't even legally own the stake at that point.
What the fuck?
He'd already signed it away months earlier in a dissolution agreement.
So he's actually just potentially scamming.
Now, look, I've covered Bappa long enough to know he's no Terrence Howard. The man once thought Texas was an actual place. He thought Gringo Papi was going to break Netflix. He thought Rogan would actually let him set foot in the mothership green room, but surely even Brendan Schaub isn't dumb enough to sign legal documents selling part of a company he doesn't own. Surely the people around him.
Can you do that? How, Sway?
And let's remember, Brendan's constantly reminding us how professional his legal team is. Were they just sitting there watching him allegedly sign fake declarations, cash checks for non-existent equity, and thinking, yeah, B, this is how Bezos built Amazon? I mean, how do you even end up in that situation? Where were his lawyers, his manager? Was there literally no adult supervision? Chin's back.
God, dude, he's a shark. It was a high IQ move.
They're fumbling focus, Callan's busy planning his escape, and Brendan's out front allegedly committing corporate fraud like it's another poorly planned drug giveaway. We've seen Bappa talk about being a business shark. We've seen him
Imagine
glaze
being
himself on his
sued,
car show.
and you're cornered, but he suddenly shows he doesn't know what the fuck he's suing you for, and you still lose.
We've seen him claim he's too strong, big, and good looking to fail, but allegedly selling phantom ownership in a CBD company while already locked in a non-compete. It almost defies belief. Almost. Because when you zoom out and look at the pattern, the comedy career that fell apart, the Texas move that backfired, the numerous scandals, the alleged tax issues, maybe this isn't as surprising as it sounds. Maybe Brendan's been winging it so hard for so long that people around him just stopped questioning the dumb moves. Maybe the entire thick
Yo, everyone's just a villain, huh? And not even of the smart kind. It's all smoke and mirrors.
boy ecosystem is running on autopilot, fueled by bot views, blind confidence, and questionable paperwork.
I did say bot views. That was my hypothesis.
But let me be clear, this is all just speculation. It's my opinion based on what's in the lawsuit. I believe this case will hinge on whether or not Brendan legally still owned a share in Pure Spectrum CBD.
Yeah, it's a pretty big if. Yeah, so did you sell your stake in the company that you didn't have?
Hasn't filed his defense yet, and maybe when he does, it'll make sense. Maybe there's a rational adult explanation for how he allegedly tried to sell a stake in a company he didn't
Maybe, or maybe not. Maybe it's just slug behavior.
legally own. Maybe he still owned it and the plaintiff has it all mixed up. I mean, it's entirely possible. But based on history, I wouldn't count on it. This is going to get messy, it's going to be public, and we're all here for it. So if you want to stay up to date on the Bappa downfall,